Welcome to your Thrive Era podcast, a show for high achieving women who are done with burnout and ready to reclaim their time, energy, and joy. I'm Shannon Logan, mom, wife, coach, and entrepreneur for over a decade. I know what it's like to juggle it all and still feel like it's never enough. But everything changed once I developed my set protocol. The simple yet sustainable way to take back myself, my energy, and my time. If you're ready to break free from burnout and finally thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back, friend. Welcome to your Thrive Era podcast. I'm Shannon Logan, mom, wife, coach, and entrepreneur for over a decade. Around here, we talk a lot about what it takes to reclaim your time, your energy, and your joy without losing your mind in the process, not to mention ambition and yourself. In today's episode, man, it's a great one because we're going to dive into something that might be quietly sabotaging your happiness: a lack of focus. Did you know that focus and happiness actually go hand in hand? If you ever felt like you're doing all the right things, but still wondering why you just don't feel good, this episode's for you. So, with all that being said, let's dive right into it. How often do you walk into a room and forget why you're there? That was basically my entire life at one point. It was like I could not keep straight where I wanted to be and why. But with my goals, with my schedule, with my sanity, I was moving, I was hustling, I was doing quote unquote all the right things, but really I had no clue where I was actually going. I didn't understand what the whole purpose was. Besides, like, yes, of course, support my family, follow through as a business owner, all the stuff I was supposed to be doing. But the truth is that without a clear North Star, even your best efforts will leave you feeling empty, confused, and overall just kind of lost. Yeah, you might check all the boxes, you might even actually hit your goals, but deep down, you can still very often just feel off. And that's what we're going to talk about today: how a lack of focus, a lack of vision sabotages your happiness. Because if you don't know where you're going, you'll say yes to everything and you'll overcommit and end up resenting the majority of it. So let's figure out exactly what to do so you don't have to suffer that pain. And it starts with what I refer to as your North Star. And it's your guiding light, right? It's like it's your compass to let you know where you need to turn, when you need to straighten out, where you're going to go. You can stay on that path that makes you feel aligned, whole, complete, and actually happy. What's important though is your North Star. It's not a goal. It's not the next promotion or the next dream vacation or even weight you might want to lose. Your North Star is that deep internal compass. It's the vision you have for the kind of life you want to live, kind of woman you want to be. It's your ultimate why. It's what gives your yes power and your no conviction. Without it, you end up overcommitted, overwhelmed, and stuck in the cycle of doing what looks good on paper, but feels really hollow inside. And at the end of the day, you're just completely exhausted and usually burnt the hell out. I've lived it. I've been there more than once. I remember a few years back, I was running my business. I was raising a baby during a pandemic. And with all of that on the outside, it looked like I had it all together. But inside, I was just kind of like drifting. I was kind of just walking through motions, not really sure what my next reason was going to be or point was going to be. Was I productive? Surprisingly, yeah, I was quite. But was I present? No, not even close. When I was with my daughter, I was thinking about work. When I was at work, I was worried about my daughter. So caught up in the checklist of each day of every week. I got so caught up in the checklist each day, weeks went by without me even being aware of how just kind of empty and reactive I felt. I had all these amazing blessings: my daughter, my husband, my awesome home, my business, all of these incredible things. But I had gotten bogged down in lists of to dos instead of the purpose of what I was doing to begin with, instead of being grounded in my why, which is to help others realize and escape from the aspect of their lives that they feel overwhelmed, suffocated, or hopeless to change. There are so many aspects of this. It might be faith based,
It might be personal based, might be professionally based. But there was one time in my life, there was a chunk of time in my life that I thought I was just gonna live this mediocre, treading water, just getting by life, and that's how it was gonna be. And thankfully, I had someone come up and walk beside me and show me, "Hey, like, you don't need to settle for that. There's so much more than that to life, and you deserve more." And so now I find it to be my calling, my why, to do the same for other women because we put so much pressure on ourselves that the fear of not being perfect can be crippling at times. So once I step back and I like recentered myself after those few weeks where I was kind of just responding to things, I was reacting to things, I was just fried overall. And I centered myself again in that purpose that I just mentioned, in my reason why. I was excited again to get up each morning. I was excited to take the actions that were in line with that why. I remembered what started this whole process in the first place. And I got anchored back down into that deep meaning of what gets me out of bed every morning. Here's what happens if you're not anchored. You say yes to things that you don't want to do. You start comparing your path to everyone else's path, and you constantly change directions or burn yourself out trying to do it all. I'll do a little bit of this, and then I'll switch over here, and then I'll go there, and then I'll pick up this, and then I'll go that. And you're just never steady. You're never calm. You're never centered. Because without clarity, your life just becomes a series of reactions instead of those like intentional choices. We have intentionality, then we have real power over the things that matter most. Because if you end up managing chaos instead of creating peace, what was the point to begin with? And if you're constantly switching gears, you never build that momentum that makes everything feel easier and like it just happened on its own. You see, that's why in the whole woman reset, one of the very first things I do with my clients is we get them clear on their vision. Because as my mentor says, vision and values drive every decision. You have your vision, you have your values that we've already spoken about, and they become your filter. It helps you decide what gets a yes and what gets a no. And so, not to mention that everything becomes easier as a result, but like that brain fatigue that disappears as well. And you stop simply doing things that don't deserve your energy anymore because they don't pass the filter test. And it's not like some fluffy, feel good vision board. I tend to map it out on what I call the 6 F's: faith, family, finances, freedom. That's like your time and your choices, fitness, and fun. And if you have a vision for each one, if you have a vision that outlines all of them as a team, oh my goodness, how much momentum you pick up quickly, right? Family, faith, finances, freedom, fitness, and fun. Say that 6 times fast. Because happiness won't come from just succeeding in one aspect of those. You have to have alignment across all of them, right? So what do you do if you're sitting there thinking, "Man, I don't even know what I want anymore?" Don't worry, you're not alone. I hear this from my clients all the time. And most importantly, you aren't broken. You're just disconnected from yourself. And the good news is we can always fix that. We just need to become aware of it. Take some time to actually acknowledge it and take steps to actually reconnect it. So you wanna know what those steps are? Here, I'm gonna walk you through each one quickly before we wrap up today. So step 1, start to ask better questions of yourself. Instead of saying, "What should I be doing?" which is really vague, start tuning into yourself and asking, "What brings me peace? What kind of woman do I want to become? What kind of woman do I typically admire that I want to bring some of that into my life? What do I want my life to feel like 12 months from now?" Those are very specific questions that will help you create a vision that's tangible, that you can see, that you can feel. Because as we talked about, the more vivid that is, the more your subconscious can work on it and have it happen all on its own. That's step 1. Step 2, write out your ideal day. Okay. Now, I understand that we all have commitments that some of them we don't have control over. What time our kids get up, what drop-off schedule is, if her husband has to work, etc. But take what your ideal day would be. Don't think of it as a fantasy. Think about it more as alignment and write out what your ideal day would look like without all those shoulds that you feel like you should be doing. See? What do you find that's actually still there once you take out the guilt, the shoulds, perfection, all of that? And what's missing? You have more control and power than you think. And so if you start to map out what your ideal day looks like, what you want it to, and you go back to it week after week, some of those puzzle pieces start to slide into place. I do this with all my clients, right? They write out their ideal day. And while they don't achieve it in the first week, every week we do take a baby step. We adjust one thing to get closer and closer to that. What do you think happens after 6 months? How much further along that path are you than when you first started? And you're a hell of a lot further to where your soul wants to be than if you had never done it in the first place. Okay. So first two steps, ask better questions, write out your ideal day. Step 3, choose one word or phrase that really captures the thought of your North Star, right? It could be freedom, it could be peace, it could be presence over being perfect, could be impact. That one word becomes your anchor. You'll come back to it each day to help filter decisions, right? Filter obligations, priorities. Should I do A or should I do B? Well, I go back to my North Star, peace. Which one of these aligns more with that? Boom, done. So my word is actually peace because I have a very specific feeling that I can see, that I can picture, that I can all 5 senses can be a part of, and I've had that feeling more than once in my life, so I know it's possible. And so when I get kinda spun out, or if I have decisions to make and I'm not really sure what to do, I can go back to that moment and again feel it and pull myself back into it, okay? So when I start to have what a good friend of mine calls the sandpaper feeling, which is kind of like my insides just start to kind of, they don't feel right. I know I got to get grounded back again in my North Star because I wandered off the path somewhere along the way. So here's the beautiful part, right? When you live from your North Star, life just starts to feel easier. You're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not reacting, you're responding. You're not managing burnout, you're building a life that actually prevents it. And success, well, it just kind of starts to show up everywhere in your relationships, in your energy, and how you show up in your business, motherhood, in your own body, in your faith, because everything is working as a team that's aligned and the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. You can't help but succeed when you're focused and it's aligned with your values. But when they're disconnected and not a team, man, wasting time, wasting headspace, fatigue, all of it, because you're not living life on purpose. So to recap, when you feel lost, stuck, or maybe questioning the next move, probably because you're missing a clear North Star. And without vision, even your best efforts, they're going to leave you feeling scattered. But that moment that you realign with what truly matters shifts everything. Get clear on your vision, use it as a daily filter, and watch your peace, serenity, contentment, happiness, joy, progress. It's all going to skyrocket. So, if you're ready to stop spinning and start living with clarity, please go grab my free masterclass, The High Achieving Woman's Escape Plan. It's 3 steps. That's it. 3 simple steps to reclaim your time, energy, and joy. In this exclusive session, I will actually walk you through step by step how to carve out more time, even with your packed schedule, how to stop burnout in its tracks so you can rediscover your joy, and how to live in alignment with the real you without having to give up everything you enjoy, whether it's chocolate or wine or Netflix or your family or career. The link is down in the show notes. So click it, download it, watch it. I guarantee you it'll change your life. If it doesn't, you can send me a mean message and just let me know I'm full of BS, right? But so that's it for today, friends. I hope that gave you some great tools. Go out there, find your North Star, build your vision, and keep thriving because life is too short and too beautiful to just be surviving. That's it for today's episode. If this hit home for you, don't just let it be another thing you hear. Take action. And the best way to start? Download my free masterclass, The High Achieving Woman's Escape Plan. 3 steps to reclaim your time, energy, and self. In this exclusive session, I'll show you exactly how to save over 5 hours a week, stop burnout in its tracks, and live in alignment with the real you. Click the link in the show notes and grab it now. And if you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Until next time, keep thriving.